Hi everyone. Thank you all for joining us this evening for a webinar on completing your application to a Faculty of Science professional program in graduate studies. I hope you find it helpful and that it provides a bit of guidance when it comes to completing your application so our team can get to reviewing it. My name is Dana Miller. I am the supervisor for the admissions team in the Faculty of Graduate Studies. I'm also joined today by Navneet Panu, the graduate student recruitment specialist in the Faculty of Science. Perhaps you don't know this, but all graduate programs at the University of Calgary are overseen by the Faculty of Graduate Studies. So they have a hand to play in most pieces of the student journey, including admissions. All right, so the agenda for this session is pretty straightforward. We will start with our land acknowledgement and then move through an application from start to finish, from creating what we call an EID. Actually, we'll start even earlier than that to where you actually find the application portal and then up until you press submit and then what happens after that. We will try to leave a little bit of room at the end for questions. So if you've got any, just save them up and add them to that Q&A section at the end, and we will take a look at our time at the end and see if we've got time to answer some of them. All right, so the University of Calgary is located in the heart of Southern Alberta. We both acknowledge and pay tribute to the traditional territories of the Peoples of Treaty 7, which include the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda, including Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations. The City of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Districts 5 and 6. All right, so I'm going to start from the point of finding the application portal on the University of Calgary website. There are many different paths that you can take to get to the application portal. There's lots of pages that link to it. The easiest way for me to describe it would be from the homepage of the University of Calgary, like landing page. So I'll show you that later when we do our walkthrough. And then the university or the Faculty of Graduate Studies does have an entire web page dedicated to the application process. And I'll show you a bit how to navigate that as well. On this page, there's also a PDF application guide, which is kind of a written guide of many of the things that I'm going to go through here today, just a little bit more general. And then there's also, there are different categories of students on this page. So that might be leading to some of the confusion. So I'll show you which category of student to select and which links to click on to help you actually find the application. Broadly, the steps to completing an application would be to collect your documents, to create your EID, and then begin your online application. So the documents that you are required to submit are listed on this page. So we will need unofficial transcripts from every institution you've attended. So even if you've attended an institution for one semester as an exchange student, we will need a copy of that transcript so we can verify your entire academic history. If needed, if your previous degree was completed where English was not the language of instruction, you will need an ELP test before completing the application. I mean, you don't need one before you complete the application, but it is easier if you complete one before you complete the application, because then after you submit, it will just be a matter of sharing those results for us. But sometimes we do have students or applicants apply and they haven't yet taken an ELP test. And if that's the case, then I'll show you when we do the walkthrough where you indicate your test date. You will also need a prerequisite document. And on the next slide, I'm going to go over this in detail so you know exactly what's needed. And then you'll also need to upload a self-calculated GPA worksheet. This worksheet is actually provided during the application. So we'll go over that as well, and I'll show you an example of how to fill that out. And I've just added a note here at the bottom that references and a CV are no longer required for this intake. So there's no need to fill out any information for that or upload those. Okay, so the prerequisite learning document. This is the document, this is how you're going to show us that you've met the prerequisite courses for the program that you're applying for. This is very important because students come from a variety of schools, both within Canada and outside of Canada. They have different class topics and numbers. And so this is how you are going to convey the information that your institution uses to us. So the programs, like there are a couple different professional programs like the data science, information security, and quantum computing. There are some slight variations of the prerequisite courses that you need for each of these programs. So if you need a little bit more information about that, you can send us an email. But our strong preference when you are compiling this document is that you take the course syllabi for all of the prerequisite courses that you've taken and merge them into one PDF for upload. If the course syllabi are no longer available or you're just having trouble getting them for whatever reason, the next best option would be to screenshot the website or the course calendar for the institution that contains the course description. And then you can paste those into a document with links to where you found this information so that it can be verified. And the portal will only accept one document. So it's very important that you merge everything into one document for upload. Incomplete or confusing documents will lead to delays in the review. So this part of the application is extremely important. If you are currently taking prerequisite courses or registered to take your prerequisite courses at some time before the end of August, then this is totally fine. You can still submit the application and include the course syllabi in this document. And then just a note about what would happen in that scenario, we will hold on to your application until the time when you can show successful proof of completion of all the prerequisite courses, and then we would be able to proceed with the review and making a decision. So no decision can be made on your file until we see those courses completed. So that means you would not receive a conditional offer of admission. We would just be waiting. Okay, so the next slide is what we're going to go through in the walkthrough. So I'm just going to exit out of this PowerPoint and we can start navigating through the website. So just bear with me for a second here. Okay. All right, so you should now be able to see the University of Calgary homepage. This is the page you'll see if you type in ucalgary.ca. So the easiest way to get to the admissions portal from here is under future students. And we're looking for graduate because we're looking for a graduate program. And then there's this how to apply link here. All right, so when you click through to this link, here is that application guide I was talking about here at the very top. So if you do find it easier to kind of follow along with a written guide, then this is available here for you too. And then the rest of this page just has some kind of general information about different documents, different programs require, just some information about ELP testing. And then the section you're looking for is this Start Your Application section. The category you're looking for here is regular students. If you look through these other categories, you'll see that none of these quite fit. We're not a visiting student researcher. We're not an exchange student. We're not joining a thesis-based program. So it's this regular students option that you're looking for. So if you click on that, then there are these 4 steps that will pop up. Where step 1 is collecting your documents. Those are the documents that I had on that slide there. Step 2 would be getting your references in order, selecting your referees, contacting them, making sure that they know that they're going to be contacted. However, as I mentioned, references are not required anymore for this intake. So that step is irrelevant for you now, which makes everything a little bit easier. And then step 3, here are the links where you can actually start getting things rolling. So here, first thing you have to do is if you are not a University of Calgary student, you will need, or a previous University of Calgary student, then you will need to create an EID. So if I click on this link, this is the page it will bring me to. When you're creating an EID, it's normally your first name dot your last name. If it's an EID that's been used before, maybe if your name is John Smith or something else that's very common, you might have to put some numbers in there. And you'll keep getting errors on this page until you get an EID that hasn't been used already. I know that because I tried this earlier. So you'll select an EID, and then if you scroll down a little bit, if you are a current or previous University of Calgary student, you'll have a UCID number. And if you don't, you can select this, I don't have a UCID and wish to register a guest account. You can check that off. And then you'll just be asked for your first name, last name, email address, date of birth, and then to select a password, and then to select some password recovery questions down here. And then you can click that create EID at the bottom and your EID will be created. So after your EID is created, then you can actually access the application portal. And so that is this other link here in step 3, the online application. And if I click on that, it should bring me, well, it will bring me to a login page, but I'm already logged in. So on the login page, you would enter that EID that you just created along with the password that you just created, and then you would happen upon this page. So if you had applied for any other programs, they would be listed here. And then you also have the option to create a new application up at the top here, which is what I'm going to do. All right. So as you're going through the application, I'm going to suggest that you save often, especially when it comes to the page where you're answering program questions. This is probably the page where you'll spend the most amount of time because you'll want to craft your answers and maybe take time to think. So it's important that you save often because it can be very frustrating if you filled out most of the page and then it times out and you lose all of the information that you've already filled out. So if you are logged out or if you want to stop and complete it at another time, that's definitely an option for you. You can close the application and then reopen it at a later time and complete it. I'm going to breeze through these first few pages as they're pretty straightforward, but if you do have any questions, like I said, you can jot them down and we can answer them at the end. This first page is just giving you some links to the minimum admission requirements and some information about the University of Calgary's use of your personal information. After you've read through that and agree with it all, you will just need to click off this I have read this page button here, and then you can click Save and Continue. All right, this next page is your personal information. Here I've entered my name, which is testing. First name and surname are required. You can see that by the little asterisks next to the fields there. And then if you'd like, you can also enter your middle name or preferred first name or your former surnames. And then this is just collecting other some biographical information, your gender, your date of birth, your country of birth. And then here, have you previously applied to the University of Calgary Graduate Studies? Yes or no? If you select yes, it's just going to ask you to enter a year here. And then same thing for this question. If you've previously attended the University of Calgary, and if you select yes, it's just going to ask what your UCID number is if you remember it. If it's been a while, you might not remember it, and that's okay too. And then if you have an Alberta student number, you can enter it here too. And then the last question is just asking if you're attending an English as a second language program in Canada, and then your first language and your second language if you have one. And save and continue. All right, address page, country, your address. If your permanent address is the same as your current mailing address, then you can just click this little button here. So you don't have to enter it again, and it'll just use your current mailing address as your permanent address as well. Save and continue. All right, Again, pretty straightforward. Enter your email address, confirm your email address. You can enter a phone number if you wish, and then save and continue. All right, and then citizenship. I've entered Canada here for mine. And then if you are Indigenous, you have the option here of selecting from a few different options, and then providing your registration number or ID number if you'd like. I do want to mention here, as I see it, there's just a running sentence here at the bottom of each page to contact the Faculty of Graduate Studies at gradapp@ucalgary.ca, and there's a phone number there for them too. So if you're encountering any technical issues as you're going along, or it's not letting you submit some information on a page, and you have some questions about the application or how to fill it out, our GradApp team is a wonderful resource for you. They've seen it all at this point, so they can troubleshoot pretty much anything for you. So just send them an email if you're having any issues with anything and want some immediate help. All right, so here we're going to kind of start the more to enter some more personal information about like your academic record. And so this is the page where you're going to enter every single post-secondary institution that you've attended. There is a sentence here at the top that talks about including any institutions you've attended for short-term enrollment, transfer credit. Did you complete some courses at Athabasca, maybe just even one or two? Any post-secondary education you've completed, it's important that you declare this on the transcript, and we take this very seriously. So it's very important that you include every single institution you've attended. And then there's just a note here letting you know that during the application process, we only need unofficial transcripts. So these will be uploaded after you submit your application. And then official transcripts are not required at all during the application process. And only if admitted, then we will be requesting these documents. So please don't make any arrangements to have your official documents sent to us until you receive an offer of admission. All right, so here you can click this Add a Post-Secondary Institution button as many times as you need to add all of your institutions. So I'm just going to click this again here. I'll just show you what this looks like. You'll get more and more options the more information you fill out on this page. So I'm just going to select Canada. I've already declared that I attended the University of Winnipeg from September 2012 to April 2016. So let's just say I've attended Athabasca University in fall 2022 to take some courses. So I'll select Alberta. And then once I've selected Alberta, then this institution name field pops up where you should be able to select your institution from this drop-down menu. If your institution is not in this drop-down menu, then you can type it manually into this box. So I think I said fall 2022. So let's say I started in September 2020, too far, 2022, and then ended in December 2022. All right. Academic credential. I didn't receive an academic credential. All I did was take some courses. So if that's the case, then I can just leave this blank. And if you had obtained a credential, let's say you did your like Bachelor of Science or something, then you can select it from this long list of programs here and then click Add. All right, and like I mentioned, you can click that button as many times as you need to add as many institutions as you've attended. All right, and we'll save and continue. All right, so this is the page where you're going to select the program that you are applying for. So you haven't actually done that up until this point. You've just been filling out a profile for yourself. So now at this point, you're going to select a program. So you can click this new program button at the top. I'm going to scroll down to the Fundamental Data Science and Analytics Certificate. If a program is listed here, that means the application is open. If you access this portal at any time and you don't see a program listed here that you're hoping to apply for, it's likely that application date has passed. So if you have any questions about that, though, do contact the program and we can confirm that for you and let you know if there's, when our application deadlines are and opening. All right, so once you select your program, it does just make you click on it one more time. So I'll click on it. And then if there were multiple intakes that are open at the same time for this program, you would be able to select your term here. Because fall 2024 is the only intake that's open right now, then that is the only option for me. So I'll select that one. And then also if there are specializations for the program that you're applying for, you'd be able to select that here as well. But there aren't for the fundamentals data science and analytics certificate. So there's nothing for me to select on this page. I can just click save and continue. All right, so here are some just general programs that are asked for every single person who applies for a graduate program at the university. So a lot of them aren't very applicable. This first one, are you applying to a combined program? No. Are you looking for advanced credit? No. Have you previously withdrawn from a graduate program at UCalgary and are now applying to continue that same program, otherwise known as a readmission? In my case, I'm going to say no. How did you hear about this program? Let's say a colleague. Do you have any funding? No confirmed funding. Am I going to apply for funding? I'm not going to apply for funding. And then we can save and continue. All right, so here is the program specific questions page. We're probably going to spend the most amount of time on this page, and you probably will as well as you're filling out your application, just because a lot of these questions require you to maybe go digging around in your transcripts or to just, reflect a little bit to craft an answer. So we'll go through all the questions here so you know what to expect when you're filling out your application. This first question is just not really a question. It's just telling you about our transcript protocols, which you've already seen on that other page about post-secondary education. It's just saying we need your unofficial transcripts right now, not your official ones. So you can check that box. And then the second question, also not really a question, just confirming that you know that you need to pay the application fee before your application can be processed. So again, select that box. All right, to the juicy stuff. Question number 3. In 300 words or less, describe how a graduate certificate in fundamental data science, or whichever program you're applying for, will help you meet your future career goals and justify why you will be a strong candidate for our program. Whoopsie. So, I mean, whatever you want to write and feel is important that you write in this box is it's up to you. I will say that we do hear from people who want to or who are having trouble paring down their statement of interest, I guess you could call it, to 300 words or less. But that is a skill to be able to concisely describe your interest in the program and why you would be a good candidate. So that's part of what is being looked at here is, are you able to just concisely describe this for us? So just keep that in mind when you're filling that question out. And then questions 4, 5, and 6. These are asking how you've met the prerequisites for the program for which you're applying. Because I've chosen the data science certificate, these are the prerequisite courses: computer programming, statistics, and calculus or linear algebra. But there might be slight variations if you applied for quantum computing or information security program instead. Please be sure that all the information that we've requested here is written in the field box. So we're asking for, let's just take computer programming. We want to know that you've taken a computer programming course. So you need to include the title, the number, like the course code, the grade that you received, the year you completed it, and which institution you attended, or where did you take that course. So that's all the information that we need for each of these prerequisites. And then question 7 is referring to the prerequisite learning document that we talked about earlier. And this just kind of recaps a little bit about what I spoke about. There's a link here too, where you can go to see the example of the prerequisite document that I had shared in the slides, if you just wanted to kind of see what that looked like in practice. And then you'll check that off. These are all required. I just realized, let's just write a brilliant answer. All right. Okay, so question 8 is asking you to list any academic awards, achievements, honors, or other distinctions you've received. And then question 9 is if you're applying for advanced course credit for graduate level courses completed, to just provide some more details about those courses that you think qualify for advanced credit. There is a note here that if a course has already been used for the award of another credential, whether that be a degree, a diploma, or certificate, then it can be used again for advanced credit for another program. So I'm just going to write none there. All right, question 10 is asking you whether you are hoping to attend classes in the morning or the evening, and if it doesn't matter to you, you can select either. I'll leave it at morning. And then question 11 is asking if you are wanting to pursue the program full-time or part-time, where full-time would mean 3 to 4 courses per term, and then part-time is 1 or 2 courses per term. I'm going to leave it at full-time. All right, and then question 12 is really the opportunity for you to write anything that you feel like the admissions committee should know. If you feel like there's something that wasn't covered in any other section of the application that you think is important, or anything you think you need to clarify, then question 12 is your opportunity to do so. It's also perfectly acceptable to write nothing. I mean, not nothing, because it's going to ask you to write something, but you can write like nothing to add or something. So it's not required that you fill out, like, don't feel the need to write anything in this box if you feel like the rest of your application does a good job of showcasing your abilities. All right, and then question 13 and 14, these are the last questions on this page, and these have to do with the GPA calculation. So each applicant will be self-calculating their GPA. You can see in this program question here, there's a link to the worksheet, and there's also a link to the instructions. So I'll give you a little bit of a live demonstration about how to complete this worksheet. I've just got a little snapshot from a University of Calgary transcript that we'll use for this example, so you can see what things you should be putting in which columns on this worksheet. This is what the GPA calculation worksheet looks like. You can start with this top box here. It's just some very basic information, your name, your degree name, your university name. And then here for the number of units and the dates used, you can just leave these blank for now until you actually start completing the worksheet. And then this section down here, this is where you're actually going to be entering the information from your transcript into the worksheet. The worksheet has some built-in formulas already, which you'll see as we go along. We'll start entering information in here and it will start calculating a GPA. So it's important that you only use the last 2 years of coursework or the second half of your degree when completing this worksheet. Please don't include your entire degree program on here. We're just looking for the last 2 years. And then another important note is we are going to use the grading system of your institution you attended. So if that wasn't the University of Calgary, if it was Carleton University and they use a 12-point scale, then you're gonna fill out this worksheet according to the 12-point scale. So in other words, we're not looking for you to convert anything to a 4-point scale. We're going to look at your institution's grading system, whatever that may be. All right, so when it comes to completing these columns, we'll just start for this first one, term. So I'll show you this snapshot that I've got here of a transcript. So this is the winter 2017 semester for this student. We can see that they completed 4 courses during this semester. So winter 2017, I can go back to my worksheet, and for the term, I'm just going to write winter 2017. All right, and then the course name and code. I'm not going to make you bear with me while I type out all of these words here, but I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. You're just going to type out the course. Here's Chem 579, and then the course name, ENCH 531, Chemical Process Design 2. So you would copy all that information onto this course name section, course 1. All right, and then for the letter grades, I'll come back here. So for this person, they received B-, A-, B, and a B-. This is a lot easier when you have multiple screens open. B minus, A minus, B minus B, something like that. B minus, A minus, I mixed up the last two. B minus, okay. There we go. And so we understand that not all institutions use a letter grade or have a letter grade system. If your institution didn't use a letter grade system, that's completely fine. You don't have to put anything in this column. You can just skip it. The next column will be grade points. So the way this one is worded can trip people up sometimes, and I'll show you why on the University of Calgary transcript. But basically in this column, we're looking for the numerical value of the letter grade. So a B minus is what in numbers? And again, if your institution doesn't use a letter grade system, then you're just entering the grade that you receive for the course, whether that's percentage grade. So if it's out of 100, then you're writing a number out of 100 in this column. If it's out of 12, you're writing a number out of 12 in this column, and so on. So you'll need to know the grading system used by your university. Hopefully that's on your transcript or at least easily accessible on the website. For the University of Calgary, a B minus is a 2.7, and then an A minus is a 3.7, a B is a 3, and then 2.7 again. All right, so there's that column. So I'm just going to come back here and show you now the transcripts. On many transcripts that we see, there is a grade points column, and it's not the same as the numerical value of the letter grade. You can see here that it's actually the credits multiplied by the numerical value is giving you the grade points. So this grade points column, this is not what we're looking for. We're always looking for the numerical value of the letter grade. So we can ignore this column. All right, so now that we've done that, the final column that we need to complete on the worksheet is the credit hours. So if I come back here, the credit hours for each course are 3. Sometimes institutions use different words for this. What we're looking for is how many credits is this course worth? Or it can be how many units is this course worth? And then if your institution happens to not use a credit or unit system at all to weigh your courses, then we're just going to put 1 in the column for each course. So not the case for the University of Calgary. Each of the courses is given a credit weighting of 3. So I'm going to come back here and I'll write 3. And you can see now as I'm entering 3 in this column, that numbers are starting to populate in that last column. So after I've finished completing this for the last 2 years of the program, I can scroll down to the bottom here. And in this box, the cumulative GPA, this is the number that you're looking for. So this will be the calculated GPA for the last 2 years. In this out of grading scale, this would be the upper limit of the grading system. So for the University of Calgary, it's 4. Again, this might be 100 if it's a percentage based, or 10 if it's an institution from India, or 12 if it's Carleton University. And then if your institution does use letter grades, you can look up the letter grade equivalent of this. So a 3.03 would be a B. And then we'll go back. We skipped a couple of fields here at the top. If you remember the number of units and the dates used in the calculation. So the number of units, you'll just be entering whatever this number is down at the bottom here under the credits or units column. So it's 12. It will be more than 12 when you do a full GPA calculation, but I'll just write 12 here. And then the dates used in the calculation, this will be however your institution designates the last 2 years. If it's like, winter 2017, or maybe it's semester 5 to semester 8 or something like that. So whatever's written on your transcript and whatever is the simplest, you can write that under the dates used in the calculation. And then that piece is done. And then I suggest that you save this worksheet, because after you submit your application, you will need to upload this worksheet to your application. So don't wash your hands of it just yet. Keep it safe somewhere so you can add it later. Okay, so now that we've calculated it, we can come back to our application. we'll enter the numbers that we came up with here, 3.03. And then the grading scale will be 4 for the University of Calgary. And then we'll save and continue. All right, so we're almost done here. The last couple of pages are pretty quick as well. So this is the test scores page, and this page is referring to the ELP test. Because I've selected that I completed my degree at a Canadian institution, there's no further information required from me at this point. If you did not complete your previous degree at a Canadian institution or one from the US, then you will likely be prompted on this page to self-report the scores for an ELP test that you've maybe already taken. And if not, you can indicate the date that you intend to take the test. There's also the option to exempt yourself from the ELP test on the application. So if you completed your degree at an institution that is listed on the WHED website with English as the only language of instruction, then we would also exempt you from needing an ELP test. All right, so no action required for me on this page. I'm going to click Save and Continue. All right, this page is all about the references. It goes into detail about acceptable references and how they'll be sent a request. And so you can see here, no program referees are required. Hooray! You can click on the Continue button. Right, and now finally we have a summary page here. You can see by looking at this status column that all of the different sections of the application are complete. If there was one or two or more that were incomplete, you could click on them to revisit that page and fill out any information that was missing there. And so mine are all complete, so I can click Continue. And then this will just give me a summary page of all of the questions that I've answered. And then at the bottom, there is the option if you wanted to print the summary, you could do that here and then click Continue. And then this is the final page. So this is the application declaration, just asking you to declare that the information that you provided was true and accurate, and that you understand why this information was being asked of you. And then you can click that off. And then the final step would be the payment. So here it's telling me that my application fee is $125. And it gives me a few options down here. So I will pay by credit card. This is the easiest option. If you click on that, it's just going to bring up the credit card information here, and you can just fill it out right here and now and submit your payment. If you don't have a credit card, or maybe this is just not an option for you at the time that you're submitting to pay with a credit card, you can click this last option here. I will pay through an alternate payment option. And it's got a link to the options that are available. The most common one would be like a bank, like an e-transfer. So that's an option too. If you do select this third option, this little checkbox appears, just making you understand that your application will be processed until that application fee is received. I just wanted to note that paying by credit card, that means as soon as the next business day when we get your application is going to show as paid, and we can hit the ground running on the review. Paying through alternate options like having bank transfers and things like that, they usually involve a little bit of processing time. So just factor that in when you are deciding how to pay for your application fee. Just note that if you do decide to do an alternate payment option, it might take a few business days until that payment is received. Right, and then the last thing to do would be to click Submit, and your application has been submitted. All right, so what happens next? I'm just going to flip back to the PowerPoint here now because that's kind of the end of the demonstration of the application. Okay, bear with me again while I switch back to the PowerPoint. All right. Okay, so catch up to where we were over here, which was, oops, there we go. All right, so we've just gone through all of the steps here from create an EID to submit. And so what happens next? Within 24 hours of pressing submit, you will receive an automated email thanking you for your submission and most importantly, providing you with your University of Calgary student ID number, which is also called a UCID. This is your student identifier, and going forward, any correspondence that you have with us should include this number so that we can easily look up your file. This email will also include a link to your student center, which is where you will upload your documents. The documents that you will need to have ready will be your unofficial transcripts, that prerequisite learning document, and the GPA calculation worksheet. So as a reminder, if you needed to provide ELP results, you would have self-reported these in your application. And then now you will be sharing these results electronically through the testing agency with the University of Calgary. So there won't be a slot in the application where these can be uploaded because they will just be shared electronically. And then if you're a permanent resident of Canada, we will need a copy of your permanent resident card, the front and the back. Unfortunately, there is no slot for you to upload this to your application, but you can email this to prograd.science@ucalgary.ca. You can see that email address on the screen there, and we can upload that for you and clear it off your to-do list. All right, so I hope that you found this demonstration helpful and that I hit on some of the pain points you were experiencing in terms of expectations for receiving a decision.